Let's all look at this famous chart from Ray Kurzweil, which has been updated a few times. So this is the last time it was updated in 2008 by Steve Jurvetson. So we're going to look at 125 years of Moore's law. So if you look at the top right, those little green dots that are hardly visible in this picture, those are the green dots on NVIDIA GPUs, the Tesla Dojo, Google TPU, the H100 from NVIDIA. The y-axis is the log scale. So what this is representing is 10 to the power of 22 improvements over a 125-year period. So this is important to understand that this exponential improvement is why the AI moment is happening now. And it did not happen anytime in the past. So for those of you who may not know Moore's law, so originally coined by Gordon Moore, the co-founder of Intel in 1995, what Gordon Moore observed was that the number of transistors on a microchip was doubling approximately every 2 years. You'll find some literature that talks about doubling it every 18 months, but approximately 2 years. Now, this prediction held true for a number of decades, driving exponential growth in computing. So the implication here is that as the number of transistors increased, computers became faster, they became more efficient, they became cheaper, which is why you could go up into a Best Buy or a Fry's Electronics and get a faster computer compared to last year at a lower price. Now, over time, what happened is that we started hitting the physical limitations of silicon-based transistors. So the pace of these improvements, they began to slow. The shrinking transistors, they started facing things such as increased heat and challenges from quantum effects, because when you go that further low, below a certain nanometer size, below 7 to 10 nanometer, you're now running into quantum effects, and the performance is beginning to plateau. So then came a need for specialization. So there was a point where the world thought that, okay, hey, the Moore's law is waning, and therefore we need some new mechanisms to think about how some new specializations are required in order to continue to meet the Moore's law. And by the way, that's exactly what NVIDIA GPUs have allowed us to do in the new way that they're able to reduce the instruction set, yet provide greater throughput for math-heavy, matrix-heavy calculations required to train these AI. Now, taking a broad step back, so that's what's happening on the compute side. Now, that's not just compute for fun, not just for gaming, not just for mining of cryptocurrencies, etc. But at a macro level, technology is eating the world. There should be no surprise. In fact, what this chart is showing you is that technology is no longer a sector. In fact, it is the market's center of gravity. And technology plus the internet companies, they are now accounting for 40% of the US market capitalization. So in this chart, what you're looking at is the top 7 companies. That's Apple, Amazon, Facebook, Google, Microsoft, Tesla, and NVIDIA. They are accounting for almost 25% of the entire market. And this level of concentration, it rivals and in some ways exceeds what we saw in the dot-com era. Now, since, yes, we saw the crash in 2000, and we saw some correction for, tech stocks, tech companies shrank for nearly a decade. But since 2015, as you can see from the chart, the tech share of the economy accelerates sharply. And at that point, it was driven by cloud, mobile, and of course now with AI. Again, we saw a slight dip in 2022. And that was just this volatility. That's this trough that you see here. But then it's continued back up very quickly. Now, what the other signal that we're seeing in the market is that the market leadership is increasingly winner takes most. I mean, not quite winner takes all, but winner takes most. And you'll see that the returns from the capitalization of AI technologies, they're highly concentrated. They're not terribly broadly distributed. And what I'll submit to you during the course of this talk is how the capital is flowing to scale, to platforms, and to further continue to develop compute advantage. So the key takeaway is that if you're not exposed to technology, if you're not adopting technology as centerpiece of your strategy, you're structurally underweight under the economy.